Hello and welcome to episode 191 of Nolo Time. My name is Ovid Velez and with me is the most interesting man in the world, Joel Young.
What's good? No low time. Obed, pleasure to be with you again, my friend. We're here.
Good to see you, sir. How's it going?
Life's been good to me. Can't complain much. I don't know how you've been doing, man. I know you have a few days off, so
Yeah, a
been
couple
busy, you know.
couple days off, just trying to relax as much as I can before the
And
craziness
and you
happens.
still ended up with a busted arm.
And I still ended up with a buster arm. Yeah, it's fine. It's the price of getting old. You gotta cut from somewhere, right? It's like it's my
You're
gamer arm, so it's funny because I'm to the point where when I'm trying to game when it gets more intense, right? I usually grab a pillow and I have to grab a pillow and put it under my elbow because it just hurts. So yeah, I guess there's something wrong with my elbow. I have a doctor's appointment in a few weeks, so
ah.
I'll ask him for sure. But there's definitely something going on with my gamer elbow, sir. Tennis elbow. Remember when people were getting that playing Wii?
I do remember that.
Yeah, getting tennis elbow.
The
Yeah.
old wee days.
You're back in the Wii days. Yeah.
Oh.
But what's up, dude? How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Nothing crazy going on here. Like I said, I've been so super busy, but I remember on the last podcast, I talked about watching movies on HBO Max and doing stuff. So I did catch Space Jam, and you
Okay.
know, I definitely gotta say, like, was not as good as the first movie. First movie is it's not just because I think it's nostalgia, like it's just entertaining, and not that this movie's not entertaining. There's stuff of it that I definitely liked, but I definitely think LeBron being LeBron, like it brought the movie down in a way that it really
Oh
suffered.
no.
But aside from like LeBron James, like the tunes are fine. It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
you can see where it switches from like LeBron James fake acting, trying to act really bad.
Fake LeBron James fake acting.
I mean, some might say that's what he does all the time. Okay, I gotta stop. I gotta be
Oh,
careful,
so
guys.
so so me and my dad we have this running joke, right?
Oh,
That every time someone does something crazy with like a foul or whatever, uh, we have this running joke. It's like, oh, it looks like he went to the LeBron James School of Performance Arts, performing
that's good.
arts, because it's like, bro,
Oh,
it's like the soccer
there's some great
players. See
Academy
those?
Award winning performances
Yeah,
he's given.
yeah. I'm assuming you've seen those compilations of like soccer players getting
Oh yeah.
like someone touched the shoulder and they just do a backflip and they just fall over the
Like I
ground
say, someone breathes on
convulsing
them,
and
and they're like,
yeah.
falling. It's a mess.
So I meant to watch it, but I totally forgot. I totally
Yeah,
forgot.
it's worth
Yeah.
watching with like the kid, like I think like in that kind of setting, it's fun and all that. Like I said, I enjoyed it for what it was, but I definitely can't sit here and say like, oh man, that
Mm,
Space Jam movie's great.
yeah.
I'd give it like a 6.5.
Okay. So
Six and a half,
maybe with
7.
kids that'd be a little bit more enjoyable.
I think so. Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's a good family film for sure. I'd recommend that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Cool. Not much on my end, dude. Finally started watching Demon Slayer on Netflix. After all this time, it's been in my back burner for the longest time, so I finally started. It's good. Like I can see where the hype comes from because it's really good. Also, it's budget. Like I don't know if it's gonna get if the quality is going to change down the road, right? When it comes to the rest of the season or how many ever seasons are out there, I can't remember exactly how many. But I've watched 4 episodes, and it's like it's good. It's good stuff, and the animation's really good. The style's really good. So far the it's phenomenal. So yeah, I'm gonna keep watching it for sure. It's one of those that I don't have a lot of time in the morning right now, but I put it in and start catching up on stuff. And yeah, so far it's been really good. Other thing of note, I do have finally, Joe, after many months, I have a review for Sekiro.
Oh, here
I'm
we
gonna
go.
review Sekiro right
Okay.
now because the game I got it back last year, and because of the PS5 stuff. I was playing stuff back then when I got it. Got the PS5, played through both Spider-Mans like back to back, which was crazy, but yeah, I pulled it off. Um, and then went into Sekiro. I finished it, but I finished it. Like I beat every boss, beat every like
Wow.
mid boss. It's okay, so it's hard. Like it's the I had a moment yesterday where I was very close to losing it. So I don't know why I was having so much trouble. I don't know if it's latency. So here's the thing, right? I got a crazy story. I finished the game. This is how I finished it. I beat the game. Like I beat the game's hard, arguably the hardest boss, and I beat the game. I finished the game playing remote play on my PS4.
Whoa, what?
So that tells you how good that latency is, because I was able to beat. Yeah, it was
Wow.
flaw. It was almost flawless, Joel. There was a little hiccups here and there with the resolution, but other than that, it was as close as a flawless experience as I could have asked.
Wow.
It was crazy. So back to Sekiro, right? I'm going to compare it. I shouldn't. So this basically this game, I found it more challenging than Bloodborne. Bloodborne was hard, but it was hard because it was hard for me because of the barrier of entry, because it was my first time playing that sort of game. But and then I went to Sekiro with that mentality. That changed quickly because the game is very very different. In my opinion, it's harder. I don't know. I had an easier not I didn't have an easy time with Bloodborne, but I think my time with Bloodborne was more straightforward. Like I didn't get like really really off like bash my head to the wall frustrated. I did get like that with Sekiro. Like there's some places and some bosses specifically, because the moment to moment action is fine, but when you go into the bosses, that's what's like it just gets out of control, and you get like one shotted and all this stuff, and it's crazy. Um, but I did it. Like like I'm proud of myself. I actually took a couple of videos, recorded it because I was like, I'm proud of myself. Like I did this. It's like I'm gonna take a video of this. The game is really really good, but it is difficult. It is difficult. If you compare it to Ghost of Tsushima, like Ghost of Tsushima is not necessarily a difficult game. It is difficult, especially at the beginning, because you don't have the right equipment. You don't have the right, you don't have the right gear. It's sort of the same with Sekiro, right? As you progress, you get more tools to help you get better. Problem is that the game doesn't get easier; it just gets progressively difficult. Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm comparing it because it's sort of like the samurai ninja sort of game. Um, the Ghost of Tsushima, the AI is much better, so the enemies react to you more realistically. The Sekiro, it's more like Bloodborne. It's like some of the enemies are just mindless and they just attack, 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 and that's it. Um, it's really good. Like I can see where some people would say that this was Game of the Year 2019, because it is absolutely a fantastic experience. Um, Definitely high quality. Problem is that it's hard. It's is very challenging. And I thought of like even myself as like it's like, hey, you know what? I can't blame myself. My reflexes are not what they were. so so I can't blame myself for this,
Yeah.
but I really enjoyed it. I don't want to spoil the story, if just in case anyone is playing it or planning on playing it. I do recommend that people give it a try, but just just keep in mind that it is difficult. I found it. It's probably like man, and I don't want to compare it with Ninja Gaiden Sigma in like Master Ninja mode because that's hard. I finished that game many years ago, like what, back in 2007 or whatever when that came out. Um, I wouldn't compare to that because it's difficult in a different way. It, it's comparable because it's the same thing. Like it's hard, but you start with no skills, and then you get skills that help you get better. Ninja Gaiden, there's some skills that you get that once you get them, you can just basically cheese out the game, and once you get it, and you can just keep going, right? Here, you have to get good. You have to know your timing. You have to really like come up with a plan. Like I'm fighting this boss. There's enemies surrounding the area. I need to somehow get rid of those guys and then take on the boss. Uh, you can't just rush in and fight the boss because you're gonna get three guys behind you and just kill you in three hits and that's it. That's that sort of thing. It's a lot of planning. It's very methodical. Makes you think, makes you plan, makes you think outside the box. It's like it gives you the tools, right? It's like, oh, I got this thing that I could use that absorbs fire. I should use that against the boss that's basically made out of fire. So that's sort of like it's very logical, right? You don't have to like bust your head against a wall to figure these things out. There's some occasions that it's confusing, but once you figure out the mechanics, it's good. But oh man, it's great. It's a great game. It's just hard. It's hard. It's a game for gamers. And you know what? Let's talk about this before we jump into like Bad Batch. There was a big thing a couple of weeks ago, and I can't remember if it was someone from Kotaku or someone that was saying that every game should have an easy mode, and the conversation went back to like games like Sekiro and Bloodborne and the Dark Souls series and Demon Souls. So the conversation went back to like, well, those games don't have an easy mode. If anything, they have hard mode, and then they get harder as you do New Game Plus. Um, I sort of agree with the notion that every game should have an easy mode, um, but I don't think that every game should. Like it's confusing, right? It's like I don't know if
I think I know where you're going.
Okay. It's my
Yeah.
English as a second language is not coming out as it should. But it's like you take for example, man, and I wanna point out like Ninja Gaiden, right? Ninja Gaiden has an easy mode. It makes you wear a pink ribbon. Just it's like, hey, you're playing
Makes you
easy.
think of like the chicken head in Metal Gear.
Basically, yeah. So it's basically like that. That being said, some games are meant to be hard and punishing. That doesn't mean that they should not be accessible, right? Because there's accessibility options in games where like people can't button mash. For example, they don't have
Right.
either the muscle or the nerves that they cannot button mash, so you can hold the button instead. So that sort of thing. Like I think Spider-Man had that, and I actually turned it on because the button mashing was sort of annoying, and you can just hold the button in some cases, and it just plays way better, right? So having these sort of options in every game, yes. Lowering the difficulty, no. I
Right.
see. I think that every game should be accessible, but not every game should be easy. That's
Mm,
okay. There you go. That's how
you got it. Now
I got it.
yeah.
I got it. Um, yeah, I don't know how you feel about that, but it was a good topic, and I wanted to bring it up last week, but I didn't have it in my notes. But then something blew up on Twitter with a known personality that I don't have a problem with. A lot of like people in the games industry do, but I think that he's a straight up guy, and you know would say things how they are, but how you feel about it?
Yeah, I think you bring up some fair points. Like I've had those experiences before. Like when I was kind of more newer to the gaming space, right? Where like you played something and you were like, "Oh man, I definitely need to switch this over to the easier mode because this is a little too hard for me right now," right? I think that helped me have a better experience because I felt like, okay, I can switch modes and I can try this again and be good, right? But like as you get more advanced, it doesn't affect you maybe the same way, right? Like you're like, hey, this is really, really hard, but you accept the challenge. You just want to grow with it and have the full experience. And it's frustrating, but you have these incredible stories at the end, right? It's like the legend of the time that I beat, Sekiro, whatever, Bloodborne, whatever it is, right? They're talking about, right? Like, oh, like
Yeah,
it becomes a part of your gaming experience.
yeah,
Is that like I that time when I beat this, like as a thing, right?
yeah,
Which sounds silly like to some people, but when you have these experiences, you know what I'm talking
yeah,
about. But to that point though, like that should not rob people of the ability to feel like they cannot complete something. Like there does need to be some type of options functionality that do favor the people who would quit otherwise. And so I don't know exactly what that looks like. Like easy mode is the go-to easy answer, I guess you would say. So for
yeah,
that reason, I'm not saying it's the wrong answer, but I'm also not saying that's the right way to go about it either, right? Like how you mentioned about, whether it's like a pink ribbon or a chicken head or some
yeah,
type of functionality where it's like this is another way of going through this part. I don't know. But I mean, I'm not downplaying the easy mode argument. I'm just saying that like I think it's a fair point that there should be the ability to not to not be like this is it
yeah,
or else like get with it or get out.
yeah, yep. Um, I and even like you take it back to like the old school, right? Like you get games like the original Mega Man in on the NES. All of these games are, learn the patterns. Like the Ninja Gaiden games on the NES, which were like impossibly hard. They were very, very hard, and there was like zero accessibility options back then. And games were what they were, right? The games back then were hard, and were hard because the game, if they were easy, they would be 15 minutes long. That was the
Yeah.
thing, right? Back then, difficulty. There were the exceptions, right? Because there were Final Fantasy, there were RPGs that were longer. The Mario games were better constructed, at versus your typical platformer. But when you have something like the old Ninja Gaiden games, like stupid Street Fighter 2010 and all this other stuff, um, the great example, dude, is the friggin' X-Men game on Sega Genesis. That game is really hard. Like it's and it's so hard that if you don't have the right Genesis, you can't finish the game. Like you need to have like the right hardware to finish it, because they built in a feature in the game that you have to like physically reset the console to
Right.
progress. So um and that's on top of like the game's difficulty. That not saying that the game was good, because the game was you know fine, but then you introduce issues like collision detection and hit detection and all this stuff that just makes it harder. But yeah, like when you talk about modern games, I know that most Nintendo games have a an assist mode, and that's great. You know that people that don't know how to play games and or can't play games as well as others, that will help you get through. But in some occasions, there's some games that should be difficult, because that's their thing, right? I think that the moment that, and no pun intended, that the moment the Souls games have an easy mode, they will lose their soul. It's that's the whole thing, right? And the same goes to like same goes for like a when you play like tabletop games, like when you're like into like a hardcore game like D&D or Catan and all this other stuff that's out
Oh yeah,
there. It's they're difficult and it's hard. So again, all games should be accessible. Not every game should be easy. That's my final thoughts on it. But yeah,
totally fair.
yep. Bad Batch. Interesting. I did not think that they were going back to write
I
off,
know, dude.
and it was pretty good. It was a very good episode. Um, Sets up a lot of stuff in Rebels. Again, going back to will we see Omega in Boba Fett? I think yes, man. I'm thinking that we'll hear about Omega again. I think they're setting up Omega to be a big player in the Star Wars universe, whether it be like behind the scenes after Return of the Jedi or whatever. But it seems like that's the path they're taking. But yeah, great to see them going back and helping Hera and basically getting the parents out of prison. Shout out to the clone commander, because that was a big lore drop there, Joel. What do you think of that?
Yeah, everyone's saying this is the moment that changed Order 66 and Revenge of the Sith and some of the ways we looked at it originally. I love it because like one of the biggest, if not the biggest arc, in my humble opinion, of Star Wars and the original storylines that have been throughout, even whether it's the prequels, original trilogy or sequels, like is redemption. Like that is a big part of Star Wars in the smallest of places and the biggest of things, right? Of course, we look at the big stuff like Anakin and Darth Vader, and we can look at Kylo Ren and Ben Solo and all this kind of stuff, right? But like this is a small detail, but like why not yet again teach this opportunity that no matter even your DNA programming, like you still have a choice to do what is right. So I like it's morally like it was really powerful, like the way they handled it, and it made the scene like gets your attention when you're like, oh my goodness, he's opening the door and he's just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
We're not supposed to be killing these people. What like whatever like
This
just
is not what they brought us
this is
for.
not what we're supposed to be. I'm like, wow, like this guy's reasoning with his brethren, and many of them did listen. And
Yeah.
only to listen, they took the fall and literally get arrested for it. So
Yeah.
I thought for sure they were just gonna get sniped down, but then I had to remind myself like Disney Plus, kind of kids, kind of not. So yeah, I was like, because I thought for sure we were about to see some heavy duty come through, but no, I mean it's cool. At the same point with this episode, the whole Hera Syndulla, her parents, like we know they don't make it. Sorry, spoiler alert. If you guys haven't watched Rebels, you should.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember, and I'd have to like dive back into it. But I can't remember if Thrawn is directly responsible for their
I
death.
think so.
So that
Because
Yeah.
that's funny because
he collects their thing.
correct, because now that you're mentioning it, I started thinking about it over the weekend. It's funny.
They're
It's like
supposed to die. Yeah.
yeah, and then I remembered that Thrawn had keepsakes from their home.
Yes.
So somewhere in here we will get introduced to Thrawn.
That's what I'm suspecting. He's got to show up.
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe what could happen is that what happened with the commander, it's the beginning of them. It's like, oh yeah, see, this is why we need to recruit. We can't just rely on the clones anymore. And that's going to accelerate that plan that Tarkin had with recruiting instead of the clones. When that plan comes into play, that's probably when Thrawn's gonna come in. And because we all know that the Thrawn, we all know that the Empire are racist, right? And
Right.
and there's like it's all humans. They don't like aliens. They
Right. They're supposed to represent the Nazis. That's
correct.
pretty clear.
Yeah. So we know that. So somehow like Thrawn has to make like a big entrance, and make like a big impression on either Tarkin or Palpatine himself. You know, we don't know if Palpatine is gonna show up or Vader. So
I know.
yeah,
And he comes from a very, very dark dimension in the entire, like, as a part of the Star Wars universe that's never been shown on any or alluded to in any place. Like, the closest you get to is like an Exegol kind of place is where Thrawn's from. So, yeah, like that's why his skin and everything looks the way it does. It's his people are very, very rare in the galaxy. But yeah, dude, like I totally would love to see him show up. And I think it's a great precursor to what they're probably going to be doing with the Ahsoka show, which is basically Rebels season
yeah,
5 or 6 or whatever it was. 5, I think.
yeah. Maybe they're setting up Hera here to set her up for Ahsoka. It's a possibility.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
although that makeup budget for that show is probably gonna be like off the charts.
I mean, just in general, though, what they've been able to do with the Mandalorian,
Yeah.
like they had some crazy makeup in that show.
Loki makeup was
Loki.
excellent. Yeah,
So
yeah.
they got
Mando.
budget.
Yeah. They do. Especially if they can bring in the Bucks. The Bucks.
What you did there.
So yeah, very very good episode. Good to see them actually coming back and doing something in Ryloth instead of just giving them weapons and just going away. So I enjoyed it. It was a good episode overall. We will have like what 3 more, right? 2 or 3 more.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we're in the final stretch for that finale, and then I guess we'll see you again in the Book of Boba Fett.
I know, right?
So yep. I'm excited. It's gonna be good. So far I've enjoyed it. There's some rough spots here and there, like in all the Star Wars animated stuff, but overall I enjoyed it. So no major problems. Did you want to talk about those rumors that the video that I sent you, the clip yesterday or was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? About our old friend Doom Clock, and the rumors saying that the whole this is I'm gonna do a terrible reenaction. It's like
fine.
It's like the civil war at Lucasfilm is over. It's confirmed to be over by my sources, and saying basically that at the end of the fiscal year they're going to like. Basically saying that Kennedy has 0 power and they're going to let her finish Indiana Jones because that was like one of her projects, and then after that there's like no power. Yeah,
that is very he brings up a very good point because I've mentioned before on the podcast that Indiana Jones could be her saving grace, and that's been rumored before on a few different places. But guys, I've said it before. I believe it when I see it. Like we literally had Bob Chapek come out and say we want her here for the future. Straight up. I mean, like that wasn't that long ago on an investor call. I don't think you say those kinds of comments when you're going to be firing someone, or trying to figure out how you fire them. You don't say that kind of stuff. So that was pretty blunt. Now, anything can happen in business. We could wake up tomorrow and there'd be a headline, breaking news, Kathleen Kennedy's out. Fine, sure. But like the people who just believe this stuff purely based on some guy who said that this time last year, literally a year ago, he said by August, did we not have a timeline? The end of the summer, it's done, right?
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's a 1 year later. Like you can't. I understand, you're trying to get that monetization money, so you put out those big titles and whatever, but I can't fall for it, bro. But he does bring out a good point though about that's a good theory. That's not a source thing, but that's a good theory, and I do believe there's a chance behind that. That yes, when Indiana Jones is done, that then she'll be gone, and there will be a new day in Star Wars, and we will see Dave Filoni rise even more.
Yeah, he posted another video today saying that there's going to be a big Lucasfilm announcement coming soon, and that allegedly, and take this with a chunk of rock salt, allegedly Gina Carano is gonna be back. So
that's when you really lose me. She's not coming back, dude. That wasn't a
I don't know.
Kathleen Kennedy thing.
You don't
That
think
was
that was
I don't I doubt
that
that
was
for
a higher up
that
sort of? You
was
think
that
so?
was signed off by some people.
Yeah. I mean, she's been
Listen, if
quiet though.
James Gunn can get sent away for some tweets, like
Yeah.
he was brought back,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
understandably, like with her,
But the
I
difference is that
like this
James
is
Gunn
this
already made him like $2.5 billion.
right and right, and now Secure Dune's a much smaller character, so it's not like you need to bring her back. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna do fine with or without her,
If you
right?
do it, you do
My
it for
point
the
being is,
fans.
right, like they both were gone for like almost a similar type of situation to some degree, and just one guy was so beloved by the fans and literally, like you said, made them billions of dollars that it was like, okay, you can come back.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
her, she what like why do I would I take her back? Sure, but do I care?
Yeah.
I really
So
don't.
so the thing is that I noticed that there was a lot of when the whole thing happened, right? Then there was this whole thing like, oh, she's going to do this like right wing thing that ended up like nothing. There was a bunch of nothing, and then oh, she's partnering with this right wing person to talk about stuff, and nothing ever happened. So and you notice that after that she went quiet like on social media, and then she started posting Star Wars stuff like 2 days ago. So like, I mean, I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
that would happen the moment the checks stop flowing. All of a sudden,
that's the
hold
thing,
on a
right?
second, I gotta kiss the pig.
I gotta gotta
It's the
cash your
cash cow,
checks,
man.
sir. Yeah, that's how it
Like
works.
yeah, you and I know, and you gotta respect the business. Like you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
No, absolutely not, man. And that's the thing. It's just how it all comes down to money. And I was like, whether she took that advice from an agent or she realized it herself. She's being out of work for
She
a few
got
months
canceled by
now.
her agency. The agency left her.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, dude.
That's right,
Like
bro. This was probably her like doing a self reflection. It's like, do I wanna end up in DVDs from what's this company called that do like
Dollar
fly.
General or whatever. I don't
No,
know.
no, what's that Kirk Cameron movie about marriage? Fireproof.
Yeah.
It was like, you want to end up working for that production company, or do you want to keep working for Lucasfilm?
Even that she would probably take, dude.
At this
To
point,
get money, yeah.
to get money, yeah. But are you gonna get Star Wars money? You
Star
know,
Wars money is a big
that's
paycheck.
the thing, right?
We
At
we
the end
don't
of the
know
day,
anything about that, by the way, guys. We'd love to get some Star Wars money.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But if you think about it, it just makes sense, right? Like she can come back and do that. I, it could happen.
Hindsight is 2020, right?
Yeah, like we've seen it. Like you mentioned, James Gunn, and we've seen it happen. But I guess we'll find out in a couple of months if Doom Clock is correct. We will see it in a few weeks. Quick update on Loki. It's like sort of kind of a thin news week this week, but we do have an update on Loki. We're not gonna talk about the non controversy that people have pointed out, but
Can I
the
just say something real quick? Because in our chat, we got someone, TJ, you're talking about Dune. We will talk about that in today's things, so stick around.
oh yeah, that's on our docket. Yep. Um, Yeah, so Kate Herron, who directed the series, will not be coming back for season 2, which, unfortunately, Joe, you'll have to correct yourself from last week.
I
But
know. Yeah, I was wrong on that one.
yeah, but
So,
she will not be back.
yeah, I said last week that allegedly, right? This is why you gotta be careful about what you hear on the internet, right? Allegedly, people were saying that they had already filmed Loki season 2 because there were clips in the original trailers and stuff that never made it right to the series, like the King Loki scene and all that stuff we never saw. So people started assuming, oh, they've already filmed season 2 of Loki. They're just gonna add it in. Well, guess what? That's obviously not true. Simply due to the fact that the very showrunner will not be back to direct the next season of Loki, saying that that's not she doesn't have enough time in her schedule. It seems like a scheduling conflict to do the next season of Loki. So clearly they're trying to rock that thing in quick. And that rumor that I had discussed on the show was fake news. And even if they do take those unused clips, clearly there's enough that they need to film, like take some time to film a lot of stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that things have changed on that end.
Yep. Yep. Um, yeah. So I mean, that's the Loki update for the week. Missed the show already. It's like being one week
That's
and
your
one
behind
day.
the scenes episode.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't watched it yet. Is it out?
Yeah, me either.
Do
I
you
haven't
know?
watched it
Do
yet.
you see that they're going to release a behind the scenes Mando episode for the last episode?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah,
That's
because I watched the behind the scenes and it's like, oh, they didn't talk about this one at all. So, yeah, I
I
heard a
can't
couple days ago that they're
wait.
going to do one. Yeah, yeah, me too, man. I really want to see exactly how, why, and how everything came together. So, I really want to know. Let's go ahead and address TJ here. So, I remember watching the first Dune movie back in the day on somewhere. David Lynch directed it, if I'm not wrong.
Obed watching on VHS.
It was like on HBO or Showtime or something back in the day.
Yeah.
So back then I didn't understand it, right? I was like maybe like 11, 12 years old. It's like I'm more interested in Van Damme movies. So um that was me back then. This movie, like I knew that they were gonna make another, dude, or not a remake but a retelling, right? Because it's a book and all that. And I know that this was gonna happen, and I know that the cast was, pretty star-studded. And but for some reason, I just I didn't pay attention to it. That all changed today, Joel. I want to see this movie like right now. This looks incredible. Looks incredible. I haven't seen um cinematography this good since like Inception, maybe. It looks
Spot on.
it looks really good. And it looks like the acting looks good. The color grading that they did in the movie, like in just to differentiate planets and all that, bro, I was blown away. I was blown away. It looked really, really good. What do you think?
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? The way I felt about this movie, this is before I saw the trailer, right? The way I felt about this movie when I first heard about it is the same way I felt about Joker and Mad
Mm,
Max Fury Road.
okay.
Okay. Where I said there's some really, really talented people behind these movies, and either they're going to be absolutely amazing or they're going to be an absolute stinker. It ain't going to be in the middle. This is not going to be a
Mm,
decent film, a okay watch, one of those. It's either going to be fantastic or it's going to be a stinker. That's how I felt about those two movies, right? Joker and Mad Max Fury Road. That's the same way I felt about this movie. Now, the funny thing about both of those movies I just mentioned, both of those movies were phenomenal films. They were amazing movies, right? Joker being the more recent one that did absolutely bonkers well. Mad Max Fury Road also did extremely well. Critically recognized films for the first time. So if this movie follows the same trajectory as other films that I felt that same way about, either it's gonna again continue to just be an absolute mind blowing, incredible, epic film that is going to just rock, the film industry, or it's gonna be an absolute stinker, and people are gonna be like, "Ooh, wow, I can't believe that's what that movie turned out to be when we finally watched it." It's hard for me to see the movie being a stinker because when you
yeah.
look at that trailer and you see the talent involved, you see, like you're saying, the cinematography involved. It's very compelling, very well put together trailer, like extremely one of the best edited trailers I think I've seen
It was.
recently.
Mm,
It's like
yeah.
the way I can compare the editing of that trailer remind me of like the Robert Pattinson Batman that we're gonna have, like how that
Yeah.
trailer was really, really provocative and really, really capturing, right?
Yep.
That's the same way I felt about this. Like it was really edited really well, but I can't shake I guess the conflict inside me that I do not want to put my stamp of approval on the film, but I can speak of the trailer alone and say you've got my attention. I already was very very on the edge about it, and then it got my attention. I got HBO Max like you, man. So we'll be seeing what goes on when that comes out.
Yeah, I'll watch it for sure. So yeah, David Lynch directed the 1984 adaptation, and Denis Villeneuve. He is the director for this one. He did Arrival and Blade Runner, the new
Okay,
one.
yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense. Okay.
yeah. So so I'm this is like high expectations stuff,
Oh,
basically.
sure, sure. I mean, there already was high expectations before going to it. Then you drop a trailer like that,
Yeah,
and
they they
everybody's gonna be
they
watching.
probably spent so much money on this thing too, and this movie got delayed, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This was
It's like
supposed to
2 years, I think.
yeah, because this was supposed to be like late 2019. Something happened,
Yep.
and then COVID happened, and yeah. So I mean, I don't think this is a case where this is gonna be New Mutants, but
No, no, I don't think
you
so.
know, yeah, but yeah, I don't know if he himself directed the trailer because he was sick. I was
Yeah,
like,
like
that's a
that
sick trailer.
was.
That was a Hideo Kojima trailer.
But think about yeah, right. But think about though, the Robert Pattinson trailer was also a Warner Brother thing, right? So I don't know what's
Yeah,
going on with Warner, but they
they
definitely
got
did a good job
they got
on those trailers and
yeah, they got a
marketing.
trailer director and Godzilla vs Kong, Mortal Kombat, like they're
Yep.
killing it with the trailers, right?
Yep.
So at one time, remember who they went from being like the worst trailer people with Batman v Superman because that
I
trailer
know.
was ass, and then now they're coming out with this like all these cool trailers. Of course, the Snyder Cut trailers, Zack Snyder himself did the
Absolutely.
trailers, but when you go, now you're getting this sort of thing with like this movies and whoever's cutting these trailers, yeah,
Keep
good
up the
job.
good work because you're
Yeah,
selling us.
honestly, um,
Yo, TJ, good point you put there in the comments there about it being a little more complex than Mad Max. Yeah, it definitely is a more complex story overall.
yeah,
But similar to Mad Max, I'd say Dune has a very strong political and personal message in the whole thing.
yeah,
A little avatar, a little not the same, but a little avatar. The people and the coloners and all. Like, yeah, it's you know. Anyways.
yeah. Um, but it looked, yeah, it looked astonishingly good in my opinion. So I'm hoping that the final product is as good as the trailer made it look to be because it was good. Like visually, it was man,
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
like top notch.
I mean,
Yeah,
they had 2 years to do some editing on the visuals at least.
yeah, yeah. Definitely looking forward to it. So please be excited. Um, Not much on the gaming end, sir. Today we had the news or the confirmation. Of course, this has been rumored for a while now that Dead Space, I would say it's a fan favorite franchise, right? Um, it's coming back. So EA is reviving Dead Space. They are doing a remake of the original game. Of course, the original game was developed by Visceral Games. That studio is no more, but EA Motive is doing the remake. So yeah, good stuff. The original came out in 2008. Never played it. There were some other things that I wanted to play, so I never played Dead Space. But I've seen videos here and there. It looks like the mechanics where the you have to shoot off the limbs were really good. Um, Seems like the story is a lot more complex that they would make it seem like, oh, this is a zombie game or this is like a space mutant sort of game. Uh, Sounds like there's more of a intricate story to it. So yeah, it's on my radar. I just need to see footage. They just showed a teaser today, and of course no date. But yeah, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I never played the original as well. 2008. I remember at one point I had an option to rent that game or uh, Mass Effect 3, and I think I chose Mass Effect 3 or whatever, so I never got to actually play it at that time. Now being, more aware of what it fully is, I could see why it's a big deal to bring it back. And yeah, I will be looking forward to seeing some gameplay. Hopefully, see some really cool stuff done with now the new next gen technology, a la PlayStation.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, looking forward to that. Lighting and whatnot was very important in this game, like atmosphere.
yeah,
So, looking to see what they do with ray tracing and 3D audio. That would be a game seller for me, man.
I agree.
Because just bring it up to like the next gen level. I guess current gen, if you want to. So that we haven't had like a true next gen experience yet. In my opinion, I think the closest one we've gotten was probably Spider Man, like Miles. But yeah, it seems like EA is looking to revive some of their franchises. So yeah, good for them. I think that more they should do that more. They should go back and revisit some of their other stuff like they haven't uh, done in years. Like they can go back to Burnout and bring in other stuff. So yeah, might
I
as well
agree.
they should definitely give it a try. Um, Joel, there's a very interesting. There's been rumors that Sony is looking to, I guess, revisit the design of the PS5 to make it more,
Lighter.
one, cost effective, and two, um, not have to deal with the shortages that we're having at the moment. But there's an interesting patent listing that came out of Japan, and it seems like the digital edition, at least for Japan, is getting a revision. It is 300 grams lighter. They don't know exactly where this weight is coming out of, but they are changing the stand. You know how the stand has the mechanism where you can hide the screw if you're not using it. So it seems like they're doing something. I know this is like as trivial as it gets when when it comes to news, but they are changing some of that mechanism in the stand. But what's interesting is that weight reduction. I mean, I don't know exactly how. Let me convert grams to ounces because
Some math live
yep,
fact checking on the show.
exactly. So it's about 10 ounces. That's
Okay.
significant, actually.
Yeah.
So where is this weight coming out of? That's the thing. Um, Maybe more than likely, this is probably the power supply. If you ask me, they probably have either a redesigned power supply or a reduced size motherboard. I doubt that they're going to reduce a motherboard so early. But they could definitely revisit something like the power supply, which is integrated inside the PS5. Uh, they can definitely review that and make changes. But yeah, Joel, what do you think of this? Did this point to something bigger, or is this just a trivial change?
It like I don't want to speculate, but like my instant reaction was like this is probably easier to make this change in the Japanese market because isn't that where it's manufactured already anyways, right? So like it's easier to like make those changes when you don't have to worry about shipping these things, across other places. So just make these small changes and test it out in the local market. I do like it's not even speculation. It's basically a fact, right? That at some point there's going to be a new design for the PS5, a slimmer design. That's just kind of how it's
Yeah,
always been, right? So like but this ain't it, right? This is just a general reduction, a general upgrade to the overall size, and that probably means that they've been tinkering with how they can make it smaller, and this was an easy enough change to try right away in their market. I love it. Doesn't affect me even if it was here like with what I've got right now, I've got mine standing up vertically. I said it before. It's a big boy.
It's
It's a
chunky.
hefty one. It's chunky. It's hefty. It's powerful. But you know something like that's just how it is. Like I
Yeah.
understand, like that's how it is. It's powerful, and then I'm happy I got one, and that's that. But like it is tough when you have to make extra space for it, and but I'm not afraid of it, like the weight of it, like oh, it's too heavy for my table, or or it's gonna fall. Oh, I don't feel that concerned with it. It's just it's what it is.
Yeah. Mine's still on the floor. It's like I
Yeah,
have,
yeah, yeah, wow.
yeah, because I have the only option I have is to raise my TV because my TV is wall mounted, right? The one in the living room. So I would have to raise it like at least one more level, and then I could fit it under the TV where it would not block the TV, or I could fit my center channel speaker on top of the cabinet, and then set the PS5 there because I used to have my PS4 was down there with the speaker, but
Right.
the PS4 is tiny compared to that. So now it's like I'm look honestly I'm out of option. I hate it. I hate to have it on the floor. I don't like it, but like I have no options because of the size. Um, and yeah, it looks, what, just thinking about it now, it looks fine. I just don't like to have it on the floor
Yeah.
just because of like, bugs, and not saying that I'm bug infested,
We
right?
live in
But
Florida.
we live in Florida, exactly.
There's
We
pests
could get
out there.
rain, and it could,
Oh, it
it's
triggers.
next to a fireplace, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I'm honestly, man, if there's a significantly reduced size one, I could see myself getting that
Yeah.
and selling the other one, the OG one. Honestly, or
Sell it
I
to
could just
me.
bring it over to this room. Just bring it over to this room and then have full PS5 instead of using remote play. But again, remote play worked pretty good, man. I'm telling you, it's like I was surprised on how good that worked. Like sound, the way it looked, controller, no latency. Like there was like no like latency that I could feel. I mean, and I was playing a twitchy game, so yeah. Um, so yeah, so it should be interesting to see what comes out of that. Uh, Joe, we're probably gonna end in not so great news.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Um, so big news this week is that Activision Blizzard is getting sued by the state of California over widespread harassment of female employees. Um, this is probably going to be little sensitive and a little bit more sensitive than the topics that we usually cover. So,
Yeah. So
um,
PSA.
so a PSA, yeah, exactly. PSA,
This could be triggering for someone if you've gone through anything.
exactly. Um, but it is bad. It's if these allegations are true, some of this stuff is pretty heinous. You know, the way that some of the male employees allegedly behave around the office, uh, doing this invasive sort of you know behavior that they allegedly did while on their desks and while visiting the desks of female employees. It's pretty crazy, to the point where one of the female employees, unfortunately took her own life because of, I guess, the stress of having to work in that sort of environment. So, um, I I don't know, man. It's pretty horrendous what they're saying here. Um, there's no like. especially when you work in an office environment. I've worked in an office environment for many years now, um, and I have never in my life heard anything like this. Like I've seen some weird and shady stuff. Another
This is like
in you know in previous workplaces and like way more when it's like smaller, like more contained offices, right? Um, when it's more self-contained, like people tend to be a little bit meaner, I guess, a little bit more out there, versus when you're more in a controlled, uh, more corporate environment. So in past workplaces, I seen some things, but never to the level that this guys are alleging, and um, it man, it's crazy. In my opinion, this is uh, that no wonder the state is actually jumping in and try to do something.
seriously.
Um, I we talked about. I don't know if we talked about it a couple weeks ago, or if it was mentioned, but like the Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision, he's proven time after time that he's really out of touch with you know the I guess the working class, right, and the guys that work at Activision themselves. While he's making you know tens of millions of dollars, these guys are here suffering uh, in an unimaginable way. And this goes for like I'm not gonna I'm saying guys because I'm trying to be inclusive. I'm sure that if female employees have gone through all this, some male employees have as well. And not all males employees behave like this because, like I said, I have never working in an office environment. I have never heard anything as crazy as this. This is like, uh, it is scary stuff, honestly. So, um, we will definitely keep an eye on this. I don't know how long the state will take to investigate. Um, but it's something that I know the entire industry is watching, and no, not only the industry, but other developers where uh, there has been some sort of troubling behavior in the past. We know that was it last year or a couple of years ago where Ubisoft there was some stuff happening, Joe?
Yeah. That's a part of the whole Infinity thing. It was a part of the announcement was it restructures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's stuff happening out there, and it happens in every workplace. I'm not saying that the gaming industry is uh, you know it's solely toxic because you and I talk to people that you know work at at different places, and we know what goes on in other places. I think that we're fortunate that at least we're in a position that we feel comfortable going to the office and not having to worry about all this, and we're definitely grateful for that. So, I I am like speechless, bro, because this is like horrible stuff. You know, I'm dancing around it because it's like it's pretty graphic. Some of the stuff that they've described. Um, but ultimately, what they're describing as a frat boy workplace culture, um, it's just, in my opinion, unacceptable. And I don't know exactly how long this has been going on. Apparently, it's been going on for a long time. Um, but I do hope that everyone responsible just the only acceptable thing to do, Joe, is that the the people mentioned um in this law in this investigation in this lawsuit, um if again if if the investigation concludes that these people are responsible or did commit these actions, the appropriate thing is that these guys should be let go and blacklisted, honestly, because I wouldn't want anyone I wouldn't want anyone to have them go through this and work with someone like that. So, I'm dancing around it, Joe. If you want to say something, just take it away, man.
Well, if anyone's ever gone through anything like this where they've had, inappropriate harassment, any kind of behavior that really was demeaning and really um, toxic, our hearts go out to these victims. Like it's really sad to hear and see. Yes, innocent until proven guilty. So I'm gonna allow obviously this investigation to play out. But when you get these kind of people involved from a government level, this is where I make the statement: where there's smoke, there's fire. Right? There's people don't just make this stuff up just for no reason at all. There's clearly something enough there, and people don't just fortunately take their life on a company trip with their supervisor, you know,
Shit,
because they
that's
just
crazy.
whatever. Like that's a very serious situation. So I hope and pray that everyone that comes out of this, that things get better and things are better, and that justice is properly served in all of this. I'm not a legal expert to any sense of the imagination, but if there's criminal charges that come out of this, if that's what justice looks like, so be it. It's a very sad thing, and we have to be able to support people in order to make there's not an indictment on the gaming industry or even an indictment on Activision. This supporting people who have gone through these kind of
Absolutely,
stuff only makes the gaming space better, and that's what we need to take, right? Like, instead of ending on a negative note, turning it into a real positive, saying how can we make this space better, which is
absolutely,
by learning about this stuff, respecting people, learning how to better respect one another, and let these awesome games, let them keep going. Let's not let this stuff be the thing that really affects entire franchises, because clearly it does. And I can't even, we can't go into the stuff that's being alleged on here. You can look it up yourself, and you'll see why we're saying what we're saying and how serious it is. But it's bothersome when you have these kinds of allegations, and clearly, again, like, let the investigation do what needs to be done. But I'm curious how high this thing goes up when you're hearing these things. People are talking about supervisors. People are talking about, I'm not gonna go into it much, but like, hey, I didn't get wouldn't get a promotion because oh, this one's gonna be pregnant next year and have to leave
yeah,
early to pick up their kid. Like, crazy stuff that doesn't make any kind of sense. So like, it sounds like it goes pretty high up. Like, it sounds like this is you lead and the people follow. So clearly there's some restructures that are going to become, like, you can't just walk away from this no matter what.
yeah, um, yeah. I'm hoping that change really happens, but at this point at Activision, it has to come from the top. Like, they are very wealthy. They are they arguably are. I mean, now I think Microsoft is the biggest publisher out there. But next to Microsoft, they're probably
They're big.
the next, yeah, they're probably the number two publisher right now. I think Microsoft right now takes the cake with all the acquisitions. But when you go and you see that the great stories that come out of Insomniac, and some of the great stories that come out of like Iron Galaxy and smaller studios, it just it's infuriating. We've heard, I don't know if you have, Joe, but I've heard stories about EA here, the local EA studio, about working conditions and whatnot,
Yeah,
which is
same.
like bro, every once in a while they come up. It's like they post a really good job out there. It's like, oh, this guy, we got this really cool job that you may want to look at. But it's just that the stories that I've heard, man, is just I wouldn't want to have to go through that. Honestly, I'm too old for that crap. And
I've been in their offices before just for like, some other
playtests.
yeah, stuff that I sign things and I can't talk about. I don't know when those things expire, so I just won't talk about it anyways. But I've been in there before, and these are like these are big companies.
Yeah,
So when you hear any kind of story, you're like, I don't know what to make of this, but you just hope that you know it's not as bad, half as bad as it sounds, or if it is, you really hope that things change, that things get better, because
yeah.
unnecessary and should not be a stigma for any of these companies. It's got to be changed.
Yep. And their statement sounds very political. The statement that Activision put out there,
Yeah.
it sounds like, "Oh, why aren't you guys covering us?" It's like that. It's bad. Uh, Overall, it's really bad. And we know what happened to Riot, and it seems like Riot is making the appropriate changes after the whole thing happened last year. Was it last year or earlier this year? I can't remember. Um, that whole thing with Riot was pretty awful, and it seems like the people that were responsible for that behavior were let go, and they sort of like rebranded themselves into a more friendly space. Um, Maybe something like that will happen to Activision. Maybe things will stay the same, which would really stink. And you know, honestly, you don't have to. My advice to anyone going through that, not just at Activision, but at any workplace, honestly, is leave. Like, you don't have to go through that. Like,
Yeah,
you
it's
don't
not
have
worth
to
it.
stay. It's not worth it. It's not worth your health. It's not worth your safety. If you're going through something like this, where there's constant harassment and just name calling and being like left out of, promotions, and being left out of, uh, like getting a permanent spot versus someone gets hired on the spot as
Being
a
made to
permanent
do other
employee.
people's work while other people game.
Exactly. Yeah, that was
Like
another big thing.
we're not even going into the worst of it.
No, no,
Like that's
no,
just
no.
that's actually some of the least kind of stuff. I
Yeah,
mean, just that
exactly.
if I find out alone somebody's doing all the work while another person's doing
Just playing
nothing,
games all day. Yeah,
that's a grounds already.
exactly. So like I said, not only at Activision, not only in the gaming industry, you could work at Target, work at Walmart, wherever you work. Lawyer's office, or anywhere that you work at. You don't have to stay, right? You can find something to do and pay. You can find a friend to stay with if you can't afford to, like, not pay rent.
There's
Like,
always another way.
yeah, there's always another way,
Don't
and
feel
you don't.
stuck in life.
Yeah, yeah, you don't have to go through that. So my advice is just, you know there's better stuff for you out there. Start looking for it. But if it becomes unbearable, where it just really takes a toll on you mentally, just go. There's like, why would you stay there and suffer? Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I would rather flip burgers and be happy, even if I can't afford like luxury, stuff, than have to go through this. Like, I would pick something else.
I just feel bad for anyone that feels stuck. Like, I sympathize with that because it's really sad
It's a
stuff with
horrible
people. So
feeling. Like, I've been there, so
I'm happy that there is, this is giving. I actually think this investigation, if you are a victim in this situation, like this gives you a sign of hope. Like, hey, things will hopefully will change now because now the big boys are in charge. You're looking into this, and hopefully again justice will be served. That's all I can really say.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, honestly, like, don't feel bad. Like, yeah, I feel bad leaving this job that I always wanted. Yeah, but you're miserable. It's fine. There's better stuff for you out there. So that's my advice. We'll end with that positive note. Like,
It gets better.
It gets better. You don't have to be stuck there. There's always options. So lawyer up. No, I'm just joking. No, honestly, just
I mean, if that's the way you have to go, maybe.
oh yeah, honestly, you do what you
Do what
gotta
you
do.
need to do.
Yeah, you do what you gotta do. Um, Joe, we'll try to end with that. You know, giving people some hope at least, if you're going through that. So yeah, that is our show for today. Let's go ahead and plug us in, sir.
Absolutely. Guys and gals, thank you for watching us and listening to us here on No Load Time. We really appreciate your support and your following. So we ask you to stay connected with us. Make sure that you're following us on social media at No Load Time. That's at No Load Time. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. We're streaming to you live if you're watching our live streams on our Twitch channel, on our YouTube channel. So please make sure that you guys stay following us there. Of course, on our Facebook, we're also coming to you guys live. So just stick with us for sure. And also make sure that you are following us on all your podcast platforms at the one that you prefer. So we're on Spotify, we're on SoundCloud, we're on Amazon Music. Make sure that you subscribe to our show there. Subscribe, of course, to our YouTube channel as well. We also want to extend the opportunity to hear from you. So if you have any questions, comments, feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Send an email to noloadtime@gmail.com. That's noloadtime@gmail.com. And maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to discuss your question or comment live here on the show.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we got. We'll see you guys next time. Stay safe. Be good.